When I started in venture capital, I was constantly Googling abbreviations to figure out what they mean. If you're fundraising or if you're trying to get a job in VC, here are the most important abbreviations that I think you need to know. In terms of fund related titles, an LP is a limited partner. Those are people who give money to venture capitalists, allow them to then deploy that money into startups, and realistically, the LPs hold all of the power. A GP is a general partner, that is the venture capitalist, that is the fund that is deploying capital. And then an EIR, which is also a title you'll see as an entrepreneur in residence. Usually, this is a former founder, maybe successfully exited, maybe not, who hangs around the table for the VC to come up with the right idea and then give them that money to pursue that idea. In terms of startup metrics, ARR is annualized recurring revenue. This is the revenue that is contracted that a company will receive every year, assuming people don't churn from a contract value. MRR, monthly recurring revenue, same deal. LTV is lifetime value. This is more relevant in consumer applications, but it's the lifetime value of a typical customer, how much money they'll spend on your product over the time that they are paying into that product. A CAC, a CAC, is the customer acquisition cost. This is how much money you have to spend on ads, how much money you have to spend on SDRs, business development trips, in order to actually get a customer to convert for that contract. For startup relevant terms, your MVP is your minimum viable product. That's the single worst thing you can produce, but will still be acquired in market. People will still pay for it. PMF means product market fit. It's how much people actually like your product, basically. In terms of financing, a SAFE, a simple agreement for future equity, is a term sheet that Y Combinator developed to allow people to simply invest in startups with basic terms. A convertible note is a more complicated version of a SAFE that stacks interest on top of it. In terms of venture fund performance, you'll see a few terms getting thrown around. IRR is the internalized rate of return. That's effectively how fast a venture capitalist is making money. MOIC is the multiple on invested capital, not to be confused with the TVPI, which is the total value to paid in capital. These are different numbers. We can make a separate video on that. It's a little more complicated. And then the DPI, the distributions to paid in capital, is the most important metric in all of venture. It's how much money you actually pay back to your LPs. Finally, a unicorn is a company that's worth over $1 billion. This is what hopefully everybody who's watching this video will someday become.